Greetings from Ecuador, where I'm currently traveling. In this video, I'm going to go over some eye anatomy, so various terms related to the eye, and then a couple commands and things that are closely related as well. So most of these anatomical terms are layman's terminology, stuff that anyone could understand, but there's a few that may fall outside of that. So always keep in mind if it's something that might be medical jargon, that you might need to explain it to the patient or point at it or something when you're using that term with a patient. All right. So I'm going to say each term in Spanish or in English first, and then say it in Spanish a couple times. But I'll give you time to think about it and then time to repeat it out loud each time. All right, so how do you say eye in Spanish? That's the first one. How do you say eye? El ojo. El ojo. And each time I say a term, I'm going to try to put the word the in front of it, because 95% of the time in Spanish, you use the word the in front of body parts. So you should get used to using el or la or los or las, depending on what it is. All right, so after eye, the next one is eyebrow. La ceja. La ceja. Eyelashes, plural. How do you say eyelashes? Las pestañas. Las pestañas. All right, what about eyelid? How do you say eyelid? El párpado. El párpado. Okay, so we're going to do a couple related terms that are closely related to that word. So how do you say to blink in Spanish? Parpadear. Parpadear. So notice that's very, very similar. You're just taking that noun, which is eyelid, and kind of adding a couple letters to turn it into a verb. And if you wanted to tell your patient to blink, you could use one of my cheater commands that I shared recently. You could say something like, please blink, which would be favor de parpadear. Please blink. All right, so there's one more, which is the noun for blink, like a blink or a wink. And that sounds very similar to the last two. Un parpadeo. Un parpadeo. Okay, so getting back to some anatomical terms a little more versus those like the eyelid related words. All right, so pupil. La pupila. La pupila. Iris. El iris. El iris. Notice how it's spelled the same, but you just got to use that Spanish pronunciation. Iris. Because it's like a pure vowel sound that never changes, right? And iris and pupil, we're kind of getting into the ones where maybe not everyone's super familiar with, especially iris. And then the next two are ones where not everyone will know what these mean. You could say el iris del ojo to clarify. For example, in some cases, just add like another term to say what exactly we're talking about. All right, the next one is cornea. La córnea. La córnea. So again, lay people may not know what that means, so you could explain or point at it or whatever. Next is conjunctiva or conjunctiva. La conjuntiva. La conjuntiva. And so conjunctivitis is not on my list of terms here, but you could basically just turn it into that with something like conjuntivitis. I don't know if that's spelled exactly right, but that's probably what it is. And if not, they would understand. All right, so I'm just going to end with two commands that you might want to use. How would you say close your eyes. Cierre los ojos. Cierre los ojos. Notice I didn't say cierre sus ojos, because that sounds a little less natural. In Spanish, you usually use the word the in front of body parts, not the word your or something like that. All right, and then lastly, open your eyes. Abra los ojos. Abra los ojos. And you could use one of those cheater commands like I told you earlier for either of those as well. And it might even sound more polite. How do you say, like, please close your eyes or please open your eyes? I'll just rattle them both off. Favor de cerrar los ojos. Favor de cerrar los ojos. Or favor de abrir los ojos, right? So you don't even have to conjugate the verb. You don't even have to use a command. That's why it's a cheater command. And I've got a video about cheater commands you can find on my channel to learn several more ways to kind of tell people to do something without actually having to conjugate the verb. All right. So that's a list of a bunch of terms about the eye, and I've got a couple playlists here. One has a bunch of other short anatomy videos kind of similar to this, and so you can check those out and learn some more anatomical terms. And then I'll put another one down here that's about beginner Spanish, super beginner friendly stuff for like really high yield terminology and pronunciation and numbers and other things like that. And then I've got another playlist down below in the description about medical Spanish dialogues and things like that. Thanks for watching. Catch you next time.